No.
Not my style.
Oh, good to hear the stories, though.
Huh?
Good to hear the stories, though.
Write it all down for you. I've been going to do that, actually.
Why haven't you, then?
Well, I will. You much prefer to read it.
Where can we start? You can tell me the progression of houses. You started to tell me where the places you've lived.
How many?
Oh, all of them. All of them from the start.
Well, born in Devonport.
Yep.
Lived here for 6 months.
Yep.
Father was worked in a commercial bank and was transferred to St Mary's.
Yep.
So lived in St Mary's in the same house there
Yep.
until I was 7. Transferred to Smithton and we lived in the same house there for 2 years, I think. And then transferred to Ulverston. We had one very big house that the bank had rented for us, but it was too big for them to look after, so we moved to a smaller one. Stayed there until, unfortunately, my father died in March in 42.
Yep.
So, without thinking very much about it, the offer was there for Mum to move back to Devonport to live with her mother, widowed mother, with me and my 2 younger brothers. And we lived in the house next door to where your mother lives now.
Yep.
With Grandma for...
In the Emmets?
Pardon?
The Emmets? That's it?
Yes, no, well. And then we moved around to Archer Street. Around just the other street next to the primary, near the primary school anyway.
Yep.
And stayed there. From there we went to 107 Gun Street, by which time my mother had met my future stepfather. And yes, well, they were married from Archer Street, so we moved to Gun Street. I was married from Gun Street. And the rest of the family went to William Street, where they stayed till Mum died.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So if you can count those up in 2 hands, you don't know.
Hey.
My favourite place was Ulverston.
Yep.
I still would move back there any day and live there quite happily.
You would? Yep. Yep. That's all right. Give me some early stories from when you were a kid.
Dear, oh dear. Well,
Favourite things?
from St Mary's, my favourite 2 things there was Dad worked in the bank, as I said, and once a week he was travelled to St Helens to do a day's work up there.
Yep.
In school holidays I was allowed to go with him on the service bus, it was called. Yeah.
Yep.
That was always great fun, getting always a natural yen to be near the sea, I think, and of course St Helens had that, so...
Yep.
You want all the funny little ones?
Yep.
Why you remember them, I have no idea. But money, of course, was very, very different to what it was now. There was a lot less to be spent.
Yeah.
And Mum sent me to the shop one day, I think it was to buy a tube of toothpaste with a shilling. The toothpaste was 10p and I spent a penny on a lolly to come home. I felt guilty about it ever since. And she played some golf there, and it was a great big thrill for me to go just and walk around the golf course with her, so there was a bit of sport instinct, I think.
I know you always enjoyed the golf while you were able.
Pardon?
I know you always enjoyed golf while you were able.
Yes.
And your tennis?
So when I was nearly 7, Dad was transferred from St Mary's to Smithton. He was working in the commercial bank and started from when he first left school, high school. And I think had he lived here, it would have definitely been he was climbing up the stairs to the manager's job, I would say. That's just my theory.
Yep.
Anyway, that transfer was from St Mary's to Smithton by train with all our furniture.
Yeah, right. Would have been fun.
Did it? I don't know, but of course at that age I didn't have to
think about it, yeah.
Oh, go back to St Mary's, another sad memory I had was during the polio epidemic. And there was a very pretty, attractive girl, 3 or 4 years old, and there was a bit of hero worship, I think, and she had to go away in the ambulance with polio.
Yeah, not good.
So that was a very sad day, and I still remember that one. So by staying with Nana French in Devonport and moved to Smithton, we eventually got there, and no real outstanding things. It was just a happy life at that age. I was 7 until I was 9, I think.
Yep.
The big thrill there again was Sunday school picnics to get to Smithton, get to Stanley for the Sunday school picnics on the beach again, next to the sea. where are we now? Well, 9. So I can remember the little compartments in my life when we were when we were 9. Dad then got the next transfer to Ulverston. So I think he was just taking steps up the ladder as far as the bank was concerned.
Work his way up.
And we lived in quite a big house. The bank had rented there, which was too big for Mum. We moved to a smaller one, and from there, Easter 1945. He'd been in hospital for 2 or 3 weeks, and I really didn't know quite why. I mean, kids just didn't
get told.
Get told things those days.
Yep.
And, he was taken to the Mersey, and we never had a car. There was a bus went from Ulverston twice a week to the hospital. It was called the hospital bus to visit the Mersey because there wasn't a hospital in Ulverston. And we went over this particular Sunday afternoon. Mum got us dressed up in our very best to go on this bus. Walked in, and his dad sitting up propped up with pillows with tears in his eyes. And I thought, what's all this about? And then on Good Friday morning, which was the next Friday, we decided he passed away. And without really thinking about it, my grandmother was living in McPhee Street with the top floor of that house to herself. So I had room, and Mum, with the help of Dad's brothers, moved from Devonport over Easter and went to school in Devonport. We've been virtually ever since. So that's chapter number 1, isn't it? I'm just trying to think. Oh yes, no, not a little feather in my cap, and I know Papa had been having plenty of feathers in his cap, I reckon, did he?
He had a few.
But during the Easter break, Mum had a very good friend from her single days here in Devonport, and she had a daughter my age. So they arranged for me to go and stay with her over the funeral and Easter period. So she was just learning some of her work for exams, which were going to be the next day at school. So I sat and listened to her and sort of took a bit of notice and went to school with the first day of exams and got top of the jolly class. Much to the anger of a young fellow there who should have been top of the class. He didn't like it much at all, I don't think. That was that. But
good achievement.
Just listening to Marlene and all her bits and pieces. So that was my year in grade 6. When you had to decide those days whether you went to high school or stayed on and went to grade 7 to do a merit certificate.
Yep.
And I didn't put my name down for the high school bit. The headmaster said, so you haven't got your name on the list. He said, I think you better go ask your mother to come and see me. So Mum came up, didn't have phones to make appointments or anything. Pardon me. And went up. No car, walked around and sat for goodness knows how long one afternoon. The headmaster wasn't there. She didn't come back again, and he came. No, I was just left at that, so I didn't get to high school, did I? But I'm sure if Mum had been there that afternoon, I would have gone to high school.
Through.
And I think it would have just made a different.
Would have changed it all.
Path to my life,
yeah.
Yes.
Doesn't take much.
But we stayed on to grade 7, which was as far as the primary schools went, but then the next year it became grade 8 in Devonport Modern School, and then grade 9, and then got to Reese High School. So by doing that and grade 7 was our teacher who had come fresh out of the Navy, Air Force, Laurie Mackenzie, who was a very forward-thinking modern educationist, you might say, and he had lots of ideas to try and develop people as far as, well, personality, I suppose you might say, as well as the academic side of things.
Yep.
Encouraged us to have our own school forum and do a bit of thinking and decision making and things like that. So, and he was also very interested in music, and I think this is where I got the
I think it'd be nice to remind your kids of, or any stories?
Oh. I'll start with some sport, which literally came into it all.
Yep.
And this same teacher could see that we should be doing some sport. So we were playing what was then basketball, which is now netball, and playing against different primary schools. So he let us out at 11:45 every day instead of 12 o'clock to go and practice our sport. He was good, wasn't he?
That's it.
And
Wouldn't complain about that.
so from there we went on. Janet, my best friend from way back there, and I went on to the Devonport Convent School, which had a commercial class for grade instead of grade 9.
Yep.
So that gave us the office training, and did that for 12 months and got a job in town for 6 months and then another job in town. And after about 12 months I got a call from the headmaster of the primary school where I'd been. He says, and we practiced our netball up there, so I thought, heavens, what have we done to his jolly old netball course? He said, our school is having a secretary appointed there in the first primary school in Tasmania to do so. Would I like the job there?
Yep.
So yes, please. And so that's virtually where I worked until your mum was born.
And that's where you met Pop?
Yes, because I did that story as he used to.
Briefly.
He just said
that's where you met. He didn't give me any details.
He was on the payroll when
yep.
he was with National Fitness and used to have to come to me to get his money.
Nothing's changed, has it?
Nothing's changed. No, much. Yeah, so I stayed there, and as I say, until we're expecting your mum, I left there, and mainly looking after 4 children and fitting in what sport I could, as in netball and softball predominantly.
Yep. And then your tennis later on?
Yes, and Scott had just started preschool when I got a call from the same headmaster saying, Lynn's leaving. He said, would you like your old job back? And this was primary school, school hours and school holidays.
Yep.
So I really couldn't say no, could I? So there I went back to work then. And in the meantime, we've moved from North Street, our first home, round to Eugene Street. I'm still there then.
Yep.
It's easy to remember the things in the past than it is as it gets closer.
Yeah, that's it. And then you went from Eugene Street round to
Pengarley Place.
Around near Don.
9 years, I think we were there.
Yep.
No, we moved from North Street because we wanted something bigger, and moved from Eugene Street because we wanted something
smaller.
And
I have a lot of fond memories of Eugene Street.
Yes, well, that's where we spent 29 years, I think.
That's it.
And so everybody's had a share in that, haven't they?
Christmases and birthdays and everything.
Yes, and other than that, you know the rest, I reckon.
That's it. Yeah. Trying to think what else. What else you could tell us?
Just got involved with different things, through children's things and Lions Club things. And
yeah, I was about to say, looking after Pop and all his commitment. He's always done a lot with Lions Club and all the fundraising and everything. Keeps him busy, no doubt.
He didn't get up and make a toffee. It wasn't quarter to 6.
No.
Tuck shoppers. That was North Street. I remember doing that. I got involved with the various mothers' clubs and P&F and
yep.
sports. I was a bit of brag, I suppose. He's had his share.
Yeah, that's it. Your turn.
Yes. Through the local associations, I think I was President, Secretary, Treasurer,
yep.
various ones. The President was Tasmanian softball for quite some time.
Yep.
Got a few trips. And the first trip out was Tasmania, was to Brisbane for Tasmania were competing in the state softball as a team. They were sending delegates for the first year.
That was your first trip out of Tasmania? What year was that? Roughly?
You were married in 1953.
Yep.
Yes, because we went up there.
That was your honeymoon, was it?
Yes, so that was my first, and still keep in touch with one of the girls we met up there at the time.
Yep.
On the phone to her the other day, actually. So,
yep.
So softball was the biggest part as far as sport was concerned. Kept on going there for quite some time in various forms until had a reunion a couple of weeks ago.
How'd that go?
Very good. It was for Devonport players that had represented Tasmania.
Yep. Where was that held?
At East Devonport, a restaurant over there.
Yep.
A lovely happy afternoon.
Little catch up.
35.
Good little catch up.
And I suppose, how many years we're taking running around kids' sport.
That's it.
Coach Kerr.
I've heard they take a bit of time.
Pardon?
I've heard they take a bit of time up, kids.
Yes, surely. Coached your mother's netball team years she did matric, which was still at Devonport High School before the matriculation college, and they won the A-grade premiership.
Good little
So
effort.
there's old photos for you sometime and go with it.
Yep.
Yeah, well, a lot of it would link in with
Would
it.
tie in,
But
yeah.
I'm going to, this year, when I get around to it, wreck all the 15 photo albums I've got,
Pull them all apart.
and I'm going to get 4 boxes and just toss them to the 4 different people that
Yep.
they're most applicable
Most
to.
relevant too. Excellent.
So from Eugene Street, I suppose, with what were the big events there? Gary, Mum, I'm just trying to put it into place. Mum would have gone to Teachers College from Eugene Street,
Yep.
so that was her first time away from home. And Gary would have gone to Melbourne after finishing the trip here to uni in Melbourne.
Yep.
Brett, then we transferred to Geelong for a wee while, didn't we? You've heard about that lot,
No?
haven't you?
Oh, no.
Oh.
No?
Well, Pop was working with insurance, he told
Yep.
me all that story. And,
We didn't get to that far. We didn't make it that far.
As well as doing lots of sports things on the side.
Yep.
And there was a job at Geelong in the Corio Leisure Centre, I think it was, as manager of that he rather liked the idea of.
Yep.
So he went over early in the piece and took up the job there. Had accepted it without me knowing. I read it in the paper that Mr. Russell was going to Geelong.
Good way to find out.
So I stayed till later in the year because Brett was doing U10 and it wasn't fair to meet him.
Yep.
Scott and I went over about September and then Brett followed in November when he finished his exams here. By mid-year the next year, Corio Leisure Centre wasn't sounding so inviting to come back to Devonport.
Yep. Changes are good as a holiday.
Yes. Brett then didn't. Right, yeah, Brett got a basketball injury while we were in Geelong, which took him away from school because of the haemophilia thing that the family had inherited from my dad. He wasn't able to do much walking and that, and he'd had such a time off by the time I'm getting all tied up. By the time he was ready to get back to school, Papa decided he was coming back to Devonport. So Brett didn't finish grade 10.
Yeah.
And didn't bother to go to Don College when he got home. So he went off and did his apprenticeship and did very well with that. And so it was quite a turning point in his life, I think. Scott came home in grade, whatever it was. He just sailed on regardless. Scott does. Mum was living in Hobart, that's right. Her and your dad were married by then, of course, and you were born. And life just went on after that. Nathan, grandchildren and great-grandchildren arriving, and your mum's wedding was from Eugene Street.
Yep. Where were you guys married?
And we were married in Devonport up at the Uniting Church.
Yep.
Which was next door to the maternity home. Or it was a maternity home that I was born in.
Yep. Quite fitting.
And yes, life sort of just been fun and games, really. It's nothing. Now, when we came back from Geelong, of course, I'd left the primary school job to go over there. Didn't think I'd bother going back to work, but did I go back to primary then? Anyway, I finished up in the office at the Don College, so I was quite happy there for part-time, or was like those part-time jobs, go to school holidays and school
That's
days,
it.
and I enjoyed it up there. It was just a change.
All the benefits. And time off.
With most of those groups, we had a get-together not long ago with the girls from the college and library and that up there, and different get-togethers every 12 months or so. Keep in touch and... Yes, I suppose things are more routine, aren't they, as you get older? You're not chasing kids around. And Lions Club was a little bit sad.
Yeah.
Pop had a difference there. And
yeah, a bit of a shame after all the time and effort he's put in.
yes, and it was disappointing because it was one of the few things that we did together and enjoyed, and I think that was a bit of a downer. And once he was not happy with them, well, it wasn't very appropriate to keep the association there, so I just left that be.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah. So here we are back in William Street, nearly where we started.
That's it.
How many years ago? 61 years now.
A full loop.
Yes. Photos of them all. See North Street as a little lane, no street or anything there when we first moved in. And I think, generally, I've been fortunate with my family, and although it was most unfortunate that Dad died, but the fact that Mum remarried, had 4 more children, and we still get on as one big happy family, as
that's
you
it.
know. There's no difference between ours and theirs.
No,
we still keep in touch and see most of them a lot of the time.
Good that everyone gets along so well.
Yes, and that's been
A blessing.
better than it could have been.
Yeah.
But,
just hard to explain to people.
eh?
Hard to explain to people.
No, well, people know you know.
Yeah, my friends, I get confused when when Nikki met Robin. She didn't understand that Robin was your sister. So.
No, without the background.
Yeah.
So we're a crazy mixed up family, but all get on so well together.
That's it.
And the fact that we still keep in touch is something, isn't it? It's
Exactly.
just,
No, excellent. That's good. I think we got a bit of everything. Wasn't too painful.
oh, well,
Relatively.
prefer not to. I can remember it all, nobody else needs to. It's interesting to sit here where we're finished now and look over where we first started.
That's it. You can see it from here.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. The neighbours next door have lived here, I think, all the time we've been making all those moves.
Really? The whole time?
They're about the same time as we moved into North Street.
Yeah, right. That's a good fair stint in one spot.
Yes. I don't know. So good friends, a lot of friends, but some particularly good friends that have been great. And all the in-laws, looking at Ree's paintings over there.
Yeah.
We've had, they're all, well, our family are all different, Nathan, and there's resemblances and similarities between the 4 of them. But basically, they're all their own person, aren't they?
That's it. Yeah, very individual.
And the in-laws are the
unique.
same.
Yep.
Yes.
No two the same, that's for sure.
No, they're just all good value, and all very good, and no one to have any complaints about.
That's it. Anyway, I'll stop harassing you then. Thanks for that.